Greetings once again. Today we are preparing for the Epiphany of the Lord, and this is a short homily on the readings for the day. These set of readings have to be set right in the history of Israel. Israel is a great meeting place of so many trade routes, north, south, east, and west. And building on that, you have Isaiah, God speaking through Isaiah. Rise up in splendor, Jerusalem, your light has come. The glory of the Lord shines upon you. So in other words, the light, the Lord, the Messiah, the one who they are longing for, has come. And this is, if you like, a warning to the people of Jerusalem that in fact they should prepare. And so upon you the Lord shines, over you appears his glory. Very important. Then nations shall walk by your light. So suddenly we've jumped from the kingdom of Israel to the surrounding nations, and kings by your shining radiance. They gather and come to you, and it gives a very poetic explanation of what it looks like. And what is happening here is God is using the most poetic language that he can possibly manage to give the people who are listening to Isaiah, give them a consciousness of how dramatic, how beautiful, how rich, how flourishing the presence of the Lord is going to be when the light of the Lord shines on Israel. And this then brings people who proclaim the praises of the Lord, which is really the reason for our creation, is to give praise to the Lord. A side note here is that the caravans will bring gold and frankincense. And of course, these are two incredibly precious materials. Gold was normally only used by kings, and frankincense was used for worship. You had to burn incense when you were making offerings to God. So what we're seeing is, if you like, the first version of the Transfiguration, that the Lord, apparently a very normal Lord, a man, and so on, is now going to be transformed. And for a little while, some of the chosen apostles would see the glory of the Lord, his light shining above them. Now, moving on to the responsorial psalm, Lord, every nation on earth will adore you. We've heard that theme in Isaiah already. And basically, it's God not just getting the adoration of God, but getting it in a very specific way. With your judgment endow the king, and with your justice the king's son. He shall govern your people with justice, and your afflicted ones with judgment. So in other words, the glory of the Lord is going to shine through the officials who do these things, making judgments in various cases, helping the afflicted ones, and so on. They are going to be, if you like, in some sense, we're not clear, the agents of the Lord's glory, and this glory will then shine onto the nations who have figures like this. Closest I can think of is Louis IX, the French king who tried to run his nation as a theocracy, and actually did an amazing job in doing that, because God's law, in fact, is actually very healthy for people. Moving on then, it's more about justice, more about the people who are bringing gifts, more about rescuing the poor, the afflicted one when he has no one to help him. He shall have pity for the lowly and the poor. The lives of the poor he will save. So the coming of the Lord is meant to mean something very practical, very concrete for the transformation of the lives of the people. Second reading now, Paul writing to the Ephesians, he first of all explains who he is, that he's been given the stewardship of God's grace. It was not made known to people in other generations, as it has been revealed now to his holy apostles and prophets, that the Gentiles are co-heirs, members of the same body. We're back in the other nations issue, where the Gentiles, instead of being essentially walled out of the holy people of God, they are now being brought into the people of God. And co-partners they are in the promise in Christ Jesus through the gospel. Lastly, then, we have the gospel, and here we have a scene very similar to the Transfiguration. This time it's a baby in Bethlehem of Judea. Magi from the east arrived, and you know the whole dialogue between them and King Herod. And of course, he's interested in not having any opposition to his reign. They're interested in finding a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel. Now, the Magi, we're not clear whether they were kings or simply the wise men. The role of, if you like, researchers, or probably what you call them now, in those times was very nebulous. They were also into magic and various other things. But there were some researchers who did great things. And here is a reading that celebrates them and the fact that what are they looking for? The light of the Lord. And then they come to this place where the child was. They're overjoyed. They enter the house. They see the child with Mary. They prostrate themselves, do him homage, and then open their gifts. And the gifts are all gold and frankincense. Those are the two mentioned in the Isaiah text. And then also myrrh. And this is the downer. This is the message from the gospel writer about the coming death of Jesus. So even at this glorious moment, which is stupendous both for the Magi and then for the shepherds, this is very much a reminder that there is death in this child's future. And then they return to their country by another route. So what you have now is a little glimpse for these couple of select people of the glory of God, just as people in the Isaiah text would see a representation of the glory of God. And this is going to have a whole lot of earth-shattering consequences, particularly drawing in the nations, showing people the rule of God, in other words, what we found in the Psalm, and then bringing everyone ultimately to see the glory of God. Have a great day.